ولا تقف ما ليس لك به علم إن السمع والبصر والفؤاد كل أولئك كان عنه مسؤولا.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وصلى الله على محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. It has been narrated on the authority of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam as in Nahjul Balagha: لسان العاقل وراء قلبه وقلب الأحمق وراء لسانه. The tongue of the wise is behind his heart, and the heart of the fool is behind his tongue. This is one of those pearls of wisdom that at first glance seems very simple, but when we look closer, it opens up an ocean of meaning about human behavior, decision making, and responsibility. In this narration, in this word, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam gave us a saying that acts as a mirror. When we look into it, it reveals who we truly are. Are we among the wise, or are we among the foolish? It reminds me of the verse in Surah Al-Isra, verse 36. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states, وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ إِنَّ السَّمْعَ وَالْبَصَرَ وَالْفُؤَادَ كُلُّ أُولَٰئِكَ كَانَ عَنْهُ مَسْئُولًا. Do not pursue that of which you have no knowledge. Indeed, the hearing, the sight, and the heart, all of those will be questioned. It teaches us that every word and action must be weighed because we are accountable. To explain the hadith, or what does Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam mean in the hadith, we must understand that Amir al-Mu'mineen is describing two types of people. He is classifying humans into two kinds. The first, the people of reason, wisdom, balance, Ahlul Aql. For such a person of rationality, of wisdom, the person with that rationality and wisdom, the tongue follows the heart. Meaning before that individual speaks, they think. Before he or she acts, they reflect. Their words are not random, not impulsive. They pass through a filter, which is the aql. On the other hand, the other classification is the ahmaq, the fool, the one of jahl. For that individual, the tongue runs ahead of the heart. They speak first, and only afterwards they begin to think. Their words often bring regret, harm, destruction for themselves or for others, their loved ones, because these words were not weighed or considered. And to summarize this meaning, Sharif al-Radhi, who complied Nahjul Balagha, says in his commentary on after stating this narration, he says, this is one of the marvelous and noble meanings. What is meant by it is that the intelligent person does not let his tongue loose, except after consulting deliberation and seeking consult from thought. Whereas the full slip of the tongue and sudden outbursts of speech come before any review of his thought or examination of his opinion. It is as if the tongue of the intelligent person follows his heart, while the heart of the fool follows his tongue. The wise man never lets his tongue loose until after consulting with his thoughts. But the fool's words pour out before his mind has any chance to reflect. That's the summary of the words of Sayyid al-Radhi in our words. So the difference is not in the ability to speak, but in the discipline of thought before speech. Now, to grasp a better understanding, to understand the narration from Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam better, we need to pause and reflect on the meaning of aql and jahil, al-aql wal-jahl. Because today when we hear aql, we usually think of intelligence, like you could translate it into smartness or knowledge, the ability to know facts, to analyze. And when we hear jahl, we usually think of ignorance, not knowing. But in the Quran and Hadith and the Arabic language, the meanings are deeper. Aql is not just knowledge. It is a power that restrains and balances. In Arabic, the word aqala is related to tying or binding. Just like the Arabs would say aqala dabba, they would mean to tie a camel so it doesn't run wild. The aql, that is the inner force that prevents a human from running wild, just like that rope that ties a camel, the aql, that inner force, controls the human from following foolish acts. It is not only knowing, but also controlling, restraining, and directing oneself towards what is right. And jahl, on the other hand, in the Quranic sense, is not just not knowing, that absence of knowledge. Many times in the Quran, and some might claim, like some of our teachers might claim, that all the instances of jahl mean pretty much foolishness. And it calls people jahilin even when they have knowledge. For example, when Prophet Yusuf says to his brothers, if you do not turn me away from their plot, I might incline to them and be of the ignorant, of their jahilin. Excuse me, not to his brothers, but to the about the problem he had with the women during that time. Yusuf knew, he had knowledge. So here, when Yusuf is saying, so I might not and be one of the ignorant, he doesn't mean one of the jahilin with the absence of knowledge. Rather, he means the acting of foolishness, recklessness, without reflection, following impulse over reason. So aql, in a nutshell, is a discipline guided by truth, while jahl is recklessness driven by impulse. And that is why we have in the narrations, for example, Sheikh al-Kulayni in Al-Kafi, when he starts off the first chapter is العاقل والجاهل. If I'm not wrong, Sahib al-Bihar, Al-Allam al-Majlisi, the first chapter that he opens up Bihar al-Anwar with is also al-aql wal-jahl. The meaning of aql is this power, this inner force that controls us from acting foolish. And that is why Imam Sadiq alayhi salam has this saying, Al-aqlu ma ubida bihi ar-Rahman wa iktusiba bihi al-jinan. The aql is that by which Allah is worshipped and paradise is earned. And that is why, again, like we said, the great scholars, when they start off, they say al-aqlu wal-jahl, not al-ilmu wal-jahl, nor, for example, al-aqlu wal-junoon. No, the meaning of aql is that inner power, inner force that controls human beings from acting foolish. And al-jahl here means foolishness, not the absence of knowledge. Now, the saying comes to life with a powerful image. The tongue of the intelligent is behind his heart. Imagine a command center, which is the heart, representing the core of one's being, the seat of understanding, reflection, and the practical intellect. The command center, or the general, is the heart. The tongue is just a soldier. For the aqil, the soldier, the tongue stands behind the general, which is the heart. It only moves when the general gives the command. Before the aql speaks, a process happens inside. A thought or an emotion arises. It is immediately sent to the heart for review, to be purified, to be filtered. The heart asks, of course, when we say aql or the heart, we say that intellectual power. Is this true? Is it good? Is it kind? What will be the consequences of saying this? Is this the right time and place? Only after this consultation, this mushawara, this reflection, does the heart give permission to the tongue to speak. The tongue is the follower, the heart is the leader. Now, the second part of the narration of Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, and the heart of the fool is behind his tongue. Here the roles are reversed. For this fool, this ahmaq, the tongue is the reckless general, and the heart is a helpless soldier running behind it, trying to clean up the mess. The ahmaq speaks without any filter. The words shoot out first, then after the damage is done, the heart kicks in and feels regret, shame, and embarrassment. The heart is behind the tongue, chasing after it, saying, oh no, why did I say that? I should have said that. The words are like, are sudden, quick shots of the tongue that come before any thought or reflection. His heart, or the heart of that fool, is a follower to a tyrant, to an out-of-control leader. Really makes you think, like, are we like that? Are we individuals that let our lisan control our aql? Or are we individuals that control our lisan with our aql? You know, that angry text message that you sent, or that we sent and immediately regret. Your tongue acted before your heart could catch up. And, you know, it just really makes you think, what side am I on? Am I from the foolish or from the rational? Now, this is just a practical example. This leads us to the central lesson that one can take from this hadith, which is think before you act. Reflect before you speak. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi once told a man who asked for advice. Of course, he asked for advice. Rasulullah would tell him, are you sure you want advice? The man would reply, yes. Rasulullah would repeat the question for 2-3 times. Rasulullah then said, whenever you intend to do something, think about its consequences. If it is good, go ahead. If it is bad, refrain. Another saying from Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, it is planning before action saves you from regret. We, brothers and sisters, live in a world where words can destroy relationships, ruin reputations, cause wars to some extent, cause problems between family members, destroy marriages, destroy society altogether. And all of that may start from a single careless sentence. Many friendships have ended because of one harsh word. Divorces have started because of one wrong word. Families have been broken because of a single outburst. The aql stops you and says, wait, what will be the result if I say this? What will happen if I act like this? The jahil doesn't ask this question. He reacts and then suffers. Arabs have this poem. It says, زَلَّةُ الرَّجُلْ تُجْبَرْ وَزِلَّةُ اللِّسَانِ لا تبقي ولا تذر. A slip of the foot can be fixed. You might hurt your back, no problem. It is a problem, but meaning that it's not something that's gonna, that's gonna have severe consequences. But a slip of the tongue leaves nothing behind. It destroys, it demolishes. Now, so what can we learn from Imam Ali's wisdom? Restrain our tongue. Not everything we feel needs to be said. Silence is often more powerful, more useful than speech. Think about the consequences before acting or speaking. Pause. You filter out your thoughts. Every action that we do, we're supposed to have that fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our hearts. We're supposed to take advantage of it. We're supposed to think, this action, فيها لله رضا. It has satisfaction from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فيها لله غضب. It is a cause of the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we must train our aql. It can grow stronger. Our rationality can go stronger. Our self-control, which is the jihad of the nafs, the struggle against one's nafs. It's like a muscle. It must be exercised. We must, continue to struggle in this path, and to not let our desires, impulse, take over. Our anger take over. And I remember this poem just right now. يموت الفتى من عثرة بلسانه وليس يموت المرء من عثرة الرجل. A man dies from a slip of the tongue, but never from a slip of the foot. So, brothers and sisters, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam has given us a golden principle for our life. Place our aql, to place our intellect, our rationality, before our action and our lisan, our tongue. To let our reflection, our rationality, to guide our words, not the other way around. It's also not about only speech. Again, we emphasize on this. It is also about all of our actions. Our life is shaped by our choices, and our choices are shaped by whether aql controls the jahil or jahil controls aql. It also opens the door to understand the junud, the soldiers of al-jahl wal-aql, which is available in the narration in Al-Kafi. There are various individuals who have an explanation to that narration. I precisely put forward the words of Sayyid al-Khomeini rahmatullah alayh, who has a huge book, 500, 600 pages just about the topic, explaining and interpreting that narration. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those whose tongues follow their rationality, their hearts, and not among those whose hearts follow their tongues. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
فلا فتى فلا فتى فلا فتى فلا فتى إلا علي قد